my book and wax friends. I am Amber. If you're new, welcome. Welcome back if you're returning. Today's video is a bookish one. It is my April wrap-up, my books and bars series. So I will go over the books that I read, give a little bit of a review of them, and then I also tell you what wax melts that I paired with the books. So that'll be at the end. There's always timestamps for you guys. So let's jump into it. So first, let's take a look at my official TBR. So for the month of April, out of the 6 books, I finished 4 of them, and then 2 were DNFs. So we'll talk about this first. So the first one that was a DNF is a soft DNF, and that was Agnes Auber's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. I decided I'm going to read it in the winter because it was definitely a winter cozy fantasy. It does take place during like the start of winter, or winter is about to happen or whatever. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to save this for like January, possibly, maybe December, I don't know. Although I specifically read like Christmassy holiday type books then, so probably January. So soft DNF, I was enjoying the first, it looks like I got about 2 chapters in, something like that. But I will continue that at a later date. And then the other one from my official TBR that I did DNF, this may be a soft DNF as well. I don't know though. Unfortunately, The Demon and the Light by Axio. This is the second book in a duology. The first one, and of course I don't remember what it's called now. The Floating World. There you go. Was the first book, and I loved it. Almost a 5-star read for me. Whimsical, fun, fantasy type book. And this one just had a different tone to it that I wasn't enjoying. And because of that, I was like, you know what? I'm not really enjoying this. I'm going to DNF it. Again, maybe just for now. I might get back to it, but it's a bummer because I did purchase this to go along with my Floating World Fairy Loot edition, but that's okay. They'll look pretty on my shelves, and eventually, if I don't ever get back to this one, I may end up putting them up on Pango. I don't know. So, but it's pretty. I love it. I'm just bummed that it didn't work out for me, at least for now. Okay, moving on to the books that I did read, including mood reads. So I read a total of 9 books for the month of April. I have one more DNF to share, though, and that is Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This is the 3rd book in the series. I don't know if it's going to be 4 or more, but the 4th is coming out this year, I think in July or August, something like that. And so I was like, I'm going to get to this. This was on my 25 and 26 annual TBR, and I've just decided I'm not going to continue the series. It's gotten more explicit as far as profanity goes, and the characters were just driving me crazy. It was more of the same, and to where I wanted to wring all their necks because they wouldn't communicate with each other. It was driving me nuts. And then, so I DNF'd it. I'm not going to continue. I canceled my pre-order of the 4th book, and I've actually heard that in this one there is spice. So if that's something you enjoy, it is in this one. But I try to steer away from spice. And so, yeah, I'm not going to continue with the series, which is too bad. I did enjoy the first book, but like I said, it's kind of gone downhill, more really harsh profanity and all that stuff. But just so you're aware. Okay, moving on. Let's move to the ones that I have actually read for the month of April. And the first one, I'm looking for where April is. Okay, the first one is an audiobook, and it is But He's My Grumpy Neighbor. And I don't remember who wrote this, but it will be here for you so you can see who wrote the book. And I rated this a 2.5 stars. So it was just okay for me. Content-wise, it was a clean book. No profanity, no spice, but I do have to say that their thoughts were a little on the lustier side than I was expecting for something that was supposed to be a clean romance. So just to be aware of that. In my opinion, their thoughts were a little lusty for me. But this is about a girl named Juliet, and she lives in this almost like retirement community, although she is not a retiree age. And she ends up having a neighbor move in next to her named Adrian. And as the title says, he's grumpy. And she tries to get to know him and start up a friendship. And of course, it being a contemporary romance, that does lead to romance. So as I said, 2.5 stars, middle of the road. It was okay. Almost 3 stars, but not quite. So that is But He's My Grumpy Neighbor. The next one I read is Kiki's Delivery Service by Aiko Kadono, and this was wonderful. I've never seen the Studio Ghibli, but I did want to pick up this book. I have read Howl's Moving Castle, not by the same author, but also a Studio Ghibli animated film. And so I wanted to give this one a try too. And I gave it 5 stars. It was so fun. It was so whimsical and magical. It is about a witch named Kiki. And once witches reach a certain age, they are then told to go and find their own place in the world to try and serve whatever community they end up going to. So she turns 13, I think it's 13, and that's the age, that's the coming of age where you're supposed to go off and figure your magic out for yourself to help others. And so she ends up moving to this town that's on the seaside, and she's trying to figure out how she can help people there. And she figures out that she can deliver things for people, which is why it's called Kiki's Delivery Service. So her and her cat, what was her cat's name? Gigi. So her cat Gigi helps her out as well. And it's all about her experience there as she's trying to make it on her own, and the friends that she makes along the way, and all those good things, coming of age type of story. And it was wonderful. I loved it, like I said. So Kiki's Delivery Service was a win. Next up was another book I read on audio, and that was The Time Hop Coffee Shop. So I do have the book, but I did read it on audio. This one I gave 3 stars. So this is a magical realism type of tale. Content wise, it had mild profanity, but nothing else. There wasn't anything besides that. So for content, that's all there was. So this is a story about a lady named Greta Perks, and through her adult life, or youngish adult life, for quite a few years, she was a star for this commercial about coffee. Her and then her actor husband at the time, who ends up becoming her real husband, and they have a kid together, and it's a whole thing. So they become famous for being the spokesman and woman for this coffee. This coffee, I don't even remember what kind of coffee it was. It was Magic Gold coffee. So fake, not a real coffee company that I know of anyway. And she ends up wanting to go back to that time, because when you start with the book, she's kind of struggling. She's separated from her husband, doesn't have a good relationship with her daughter, and she's struggling as an actor. She hasn't been able to get anything really since she was no longer a part of these commercials. And she ends up finding this kind of out of the way coffee shop that kind of just appears out of nowhere that she goes into, and makes a wish there, and ends up going into this other world that is like the world of this magic gold community. And so it explores her reality versus reality that's not really reality, and she can decide from there. She finds out she can decide if she wants to stay in this other like perfect reality of the magic gold coffee community, or go back to real life and try and work on things. And so that's the premise of the story. I enjoyed it. As I said, 3 stars. I think maybe if I was a coffee drinker and like had a hardcore love for coffee, maybe I would have liked it a lot more, because it was very focused on coffee. But I like the magical realism elements of it. The characters were fine. And yeah, so 3 stars. I thought it was good, just not like outstanding. It's not something I'm going to think of in the future. Okay, after that, this one I did read by my eyeballs, and that is The Swan's Daughter by Roshani Chokshi. This is the Fairy Loot edition, and I gave this a 4.75 stars. So this is about a Veritas swan. So it's a magical swan that is human but can turn into a swan, and Veritas swans with their song can make people tell the truth. And so Demelza, who is that swan, she can't turn into a swan at the beginning of the book. She is part of this family, and all her sisters have been able to turn into swans, and they've gone off from the command of her father, who is this wizard guy, to help him like conquer the world, pretty much. Power. He wants a lot of power. And so she doesn't have that sort of power. And when she sings, actually, her song sounds terrible, but still from it, she's able to get people to tell the truth, to reveal hidden things. So she's able to get away from her home when her father finds out from this spell that he's trying to do, that she's a key part of it. And so she ends up going to the rulers of the land, of this other part of the land. The son, Eris is his name, or Aris. He is having this competition to find a bride. The only thing is, there's a curse on their family in that whoever marries him, if not for true love, will kill him to get the power to become the new king or queen. So they're having this competition, kind of like the selection a little bit. in that he's trying to figure out who he wants to marry, and he's hoping that he doesn't die, but he's kind of resigned to it. So Demelza ends up going there, and she is in disguise, and so she ends up making a deal with Eris to help him figure out who's there for good intentions and who's there actually because they want to kill him. And because she reveals to him that she is able, with her singing, able to glean the truth from people. So this was wonderful. This was such a magical, whimsical time. Beautiful lyrical writing. I loved it. It did not reach a 5 stars for me though, because the last few chapters, the pacing fell off. It felt like once they finally got to the final challenge in the competition, from that point to the rest of the book, it was rushed. The pacing fell off. And so because of that, I was like, yeah, it didn't give me this 5-star feels at the end. But content-wise, there was no profanity, no spice, just kissing. There was some, there wasn't anything like that. There were, I'm trying to think of what else. I think that's it. But it was fun. Like I said, whimsical, magical, and I loved it. So looks like they're made. This is a standalone, but it looks like that the author could continue in this world with how it ended. It ended, wrapped up nicely, but like talks about future stories possibly. So I loved it. I thought it was wonderful. So The Swan's Daughter. Okay, after that one, I read one from my TBR, and that is My Lucky Charm by Courtney Walsh. And this was for the prompt, author you love. So for sure, this Courtney Walsh is an author I love. And I gave this 5 stars. It was wonderful. So this is the second book in her Holidays with Heart romance, and it's a hockey romance. It is a clean contemporary romance, and it's about the youngest sister, Eloise. And so she ends up getting hired to be a, let me just figure it out. So, to help a new player. So the new player, Grayson, he is drafted onto the team. He is very bitter about it. He did not want to be transferred, or whatever it's called when you're taken from one team to the other in sports. Traded, there we go. He did not want to be traded from the team he was on, but he was traded to this team, the Chicago Comets. Yeah, Chicago Comets, professional hockey team. And he's very bitter and angry about that. And so Eloise has been hired to kind of be his assistant / manage him in his social situations type of thing. And so there's a Grumpy Sunshine aspect to this, and it goes from there. And it was so fun. I'm trying to decide if I like this one better or the first one, which is about the middle sister, Poppy. But you do see Poppy and her boyfriend. Why do I not remember his name? I don't remember his name. Anyway, he is also a player on the Chicago Comets. So you do see them and the other family members as well. But I love this. It was so fun. It was so cute. And it had humor, great banter. I do highly recommend Courtney Walsh if you're looking for a fun, funny, clean, contemporary romance series. So that was that one. The next one was also on my TBR, and it was for The prompt, reread a childhood favorite, Anne of Windy Poplars. So this is the 4th, 5th, cannot remember. I think it's the fourth book in the Anne of Green Gables series. This one in publication order was not the 4th, but chronologically it's the 4th book. And so that's how I read them, is in chronological order. So this one I gave 4 stars, did not reach 5-star potential. And that is because it was very epistolary. And I'm not anti-epistolary. I do enjoy some epistolary books, but the feel of this story was different. Anne is in a new place. She becomes a principal in this town, and so you are surrounded by like all new people, and you don't really get to see much in the way of all the people that you've come to love from the other books in this one. And because it's epistolary for the most part, you don't get much in the way of interaction. She is just writing to her fiance, and I will not say who that fiance is, just in case you've never read the books. I don't want to spoil anything. She's writing to her fiance for most of the story. And I just honestly, I couldn't care. I couldn't care about these characters that we just are introduced to. It's hard to keep track of who they were. And I know that we're not really going to see them probably again. From what I remember, it's been a minute since I've read the rest of the series, but from what I remember. So, but does this have Anne all over it still? Absolutely yes. Does it still have beautiful writing, beautiful description of nature? Absolutely yes. So it was still 4 stars. It just didn't reach those 5-star feels like the other ones have. So that is Anne of Windy Poplars by Ellen Montgomery. After that one, I read, and was this I don't think this was a prompt. No, I read Tempest Tea Leaves by Rachel Morgan. And this is a historical, no, I guess it's not really historical because it's set in a fictional world. So it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy romance, clean fantasy romance, but with a Regency vibe to it. So think Pride and Prejudice meets Fae fantasy. That's what this is. I gave it a 5 stars. I love this so much. There are 2 more books, or actually 3. 2 books and a novella just came out. So 2 more full length, and then a novella just came out from the author. But they are interconnected standalones, so you don't necessarily have to read them in order, but I'm reading them in order, and this is the first one. So as I said, this is Pride and Prejudice meets Fae fantasy. I don't know if I said content-wise, it is clean. And it's about a girl named Iris Starspun who is only half Fae, and that's looked down upon in this land, not really where she comes from, but in this, what is the equivalent of London, I would say. And the people there, they kind of look down on her because she's not like a full-blooded Fae. And she ends up helping out. She becomes an apprentice for this older Fae lady that owns this tea shop, and starts to learn the trade in the hopes of becoming the new owner, is what the intention is for the lady. I don't even remember her name. This is what happens when I do not talk about these sooner. Kelly from Bookish Kelly, she mentioned doing the wrap-ups how she used to do the wrap-ups. And I was like, that is a great idea. Where after she would finish one book, she would then record her thoughts on the book and then splice everything together for the wrap-up at the end of the month or beginning of the next month. And I was like, that's a great idea, because when you read so many books, even with my notes, I can't remember every single thing. And so I think I'm going to do that not really starting for next month's wrap-up, because it's already the middle of May and I haven't done it yet. But for June, I think I'm going to do that. So thank you again, Kelly. That's a great idea, because my brain does not retain everything. So anyway, so Iris goes to help at this tea shop, but she is a part of high society, and it is the season. And so her parents and grandparents still want her to go do all the season things to try and catch a husband, because even though they are a well-to-do family, they've run out of money. And so she needs to find a husband to help their family, or they're going to lose their estate and whatnot, Regency problems in a fantasy world. And so she is dealing with that. She's dealing with some prejudice because she is not considered fully fae. And she does have magic. Everyone has different magical abilities. Well, not everyone, but when you come of age, it presents itself in a fae for the most part. And so they are to demonstrate those abilities to the queen of the land when they start the season. So she ends up running into this guy. What is his name again? Jasphrian, I think it's Jasphrian Rowanwood. And he, just like Mr. Darcy, has a lot of prejudice and pride in regards to ideas. And so they butt heads. Well, come to find out, the lady she's apprenticing for, I don't think it's a spoiler. It's close to the beginning of the book, so it's not really a spoiler, is the grandmother of Jasphrian. So it goes from there. Loved it. Long-winded, sorry, description. But I highly recommend this. If you are looking for a clean, Regency feeling fantasy, highly recommend this. And I am getting the rest of the series. I'm actually going to pick up, the author does have special editions. I'm going to pick up the special editions, because you know me, I love beautiful books, and so I want to get the special editions now that I know I love it. So that is Tempest and Tea Leaves. All right, moving on. After that, I read, A Bride of Fallen Stars by Victoria McCombs, and this was for the prompt indie author, and this was a 4-star. I did really enjoy it. It's the beginning of a new series, and it is also a clean read. Only kisses, no language, no very gory violence or anything like that. And this is about a girl named Cora and her twin sister Adele, and they are what are called celestials, and think of celestials as fae or immortal magical beings, and they rule, or they're about to rule, the night and day. They are going to ascend the throne. It's time for those that adopted them, who were also twins, to leave the world, and they will ascend the throne and take over the throne. Cora is over the night and Adele is over the day, and that's what they've learned. Well, Cora has a secret that has been kept hidden from everybody. She knows about it because her mentor, who is over the night before they ascend, he helps her and tells her about it. And so there is this monster that they have to contain. And there ends up being, when they ascend the throne, her sister betrays her and kicks her out and takes all the power for herself. And she falls into the mortal realm. And from the mortal realm, there is a king there named Darius. And he is trying to keep control over the mortal realm. But the other celestials who also have lands in his area, he's like the high king. They want to seize that control. They don't think it's right that a mortal has the control over. He is like all powerful in regards to being on the earth. And so they're trying to seize control. So because of that, Cora and Darius make a deal to fake date, to become betrothed, to help each other out. So Cora is trying to figure out how to contain this beast, and will get help from Darius. And Darius is trying to keep control of the kingdoms and help the mortals. And so it was fun. Like I said, 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. I think that I could see the rest of the series, however long it's going to be 5 stars. It just did not give me 5-star feelings, but I did really like it. And I love this book. The cover is so pretty. So, A Bride of Fallen Stars. I did enjoy that. Okay, then the last book, we're on to the last book, woohoo, is Arcanum Unbound by Brandon Sanderson. So these are short stories from his Cosmere universe. So I did not read all of it, and no, it was not part of my official TBR. I didn't read all of it. I just read 2 of the stories because I don't want to spoil. It will spoil other things. So I just read the 2 that I knew wouldn't spoil other books for me. And those were 4 stars. As far as content goes, there was maybe like a couple mild bad words, but other than that, there wasn't anything in it. So one was a story about kind of a prequel short story from when one of the main characters in Mistborn had just started training in regards to his power. And then the other one was what was it? It was called Allomancer Jack, I think and something else. It was like a campy Indiana Jones, a treasure hunting type of story that you would find in one of those periodicals that they used to have back in the day, back in like during Victorian time type of thing. That was very campy, very, very just fun, not to be taken seriously type of thing. And that was kind of what that story was. And that was also in regards to the Mistborn books, but it's like an after what happens in the original trilogy. Just a story. And I enjoyed that one a lot because you get some little footnotes from the servant of Allomancer Jack in it that were just hilarious. It was cracking me up. So I enjoyed both of those stories, and they were 4 stars. So that's it in regards to the books. Now let's move on. I'll try and go quickly. Move on to the wax that I did melt with each of the books. So for the audiobooks, of course, I don't have wax specific to those because audiobooks, I'm not necessarily at home to melt. When I'm listening to it, it's over a period of a week or more, usually. So this is just with my eyeball books. So the one that I paired with Kiki's delivery service is Key Lime and Grapefruit. This is a very it reminds me of the seaside And so I was like, I feel like that would go perfectly with Kiki. So that's the one I did for that. Then for the Swan's daughter, I went with Vanilla Rose. It just felt like it fit, maybe just because of the cover. And we have little roses and then the flowers on there. I don't know. It just felt like a romantic kind of a little bit whimsical, fairy tale-ish type of scent to me. And so that's why I chose that one. Then for my lucky charm, I chose pomegranate and poppy. And this one is a spring floral with that sweet pomegranate. And honestly, I picked it because Poppy was the name of her sister. And I was like, how could I not pick it? It has Poppy in it. And even though this story is not about Poppy, Poppy is in the book. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to pick that one. So that's why I chose that one. Then for Anne of Windy Poplars, I went with like an old-fashioned cozy scent and chose Cozy Cardigan. And this is just so pretty. Cashmere, sweet amber, and just a tiny touch of rose. It's really pretty. It's just a cozy scent, which is, of course, Cozy Cardigan. It's in the name. Then after that, is this the next one? Yeah, for Tempest and Tea Leaves, I did the scent Amber and Peach. This is really pretty. It just felt like a high society, Regency era type of scent. It's just really pretty. Yeah, I just think that one's really pretty. And so it felt like it went well with that story. Then for A Bride of Fallen Stars, I did, let's see, what did I do? Which is my pairing. Blooming Marvelous. This one I know is retired. You cannot get this one. I think the others you can get. I'm not absolutely sure, but my website is always down below. But this one is so pretty. I love this one. It's in my club because I love it so much. So Blooming Marvelous is a very sweet floral, but it's not like overwhelming headache inducing. It also has like this currant note, like the fruit currant. It's just pretty. And I just thought it would match really well because it's kind of light and airy at the same time as it's fruity and perfumey. And since we're talking about like celestial type of beings and you see the swans flying and all that, I was like, oh, yeah, I think that one will work. Plus, I just love it. So I had to melt that one. Then for Brandon Sanderson, I went with the Mandalorian Air of Adventure wax. And this is so nice. This comes back every once in a while. I think it's back right now still. And I love it. It has a sweet sage note to it. Vanilla, sweet. I can't remember the other notes, but I really love it. And it just felt like it worked for the stories that I was reading in the book. So that's it, you guys. That is everything. I finished. I appreciate all of you. I always try to be a little more concise, but you know that's hard for me. So thank you for spending some time with me. Hopefully, if you stuck around, I appreciate you. Please let me know what was a standout read for you during the month of April. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please like and subscribe for more book and home fragrance content. And until next time, TTFN. Hot chocolate.